Avengers Age of Ultron is a 2015 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team of the Avengers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, it is a sequel to Avengers in 2012 and the 11th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film was written and directed by Joss Whedon. In the film, the Avengers fight Ultron, an artificial intelligence with the goal of causing human extinction. The sequel was announced in May 2012 after the successful release of The Avengers, with Whedon set to return as writer and director in August. Whedon updated Ultron's origin for the film to involve the MCU's Avengers team and introduce the characters of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, to whom Marvel shared the rights with 20th Century Fox. Casting began in June 2013 with the re-signing of Downey Jr. Second unit filming began in February 2014 in South Africa, with principal photography taking place between March and August, primarily at Shipperton Studios in Surrey, England. Additional footage was filmed in Italy, South Korea, Bangladesh, and the state of New York, and around England. With an estimated net production of $365 million, the film is the second most expensive film ever made. Avengers Age of Ultron premiered in Los Angeles on April 13, 2015, and was released in the United States on May 1, 2015, as part of Phase 2 of the MCU. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and grossed over $1.4 billion worldwide, becoming the fourth highest grossing film of 2015 and the fifth highest grossing film of all time during its run. Two sequels have been released since, Avengers Infinity War in 2018 and Avengers Endgame in 2019. The cast includes Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man, the benefactor of the Avengers, whose self-described genius billionaire, playboy and philanthropist, with an electromechanical suit of armor of his own invention. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, an Avenger and Crown Prince of Asgard based on the Norse mythological deity of the same name. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / Hulk, an Avenger and genius scientist who, because of his exposure to gamma radiation, transforms into a monster when enraged or agitated. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America, the leader of the Avengers and a World War II veteran who was enhanced to peak human physicality by experimental serum and suspended in animation before waking up in the modern world. Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, or Black Widow, an Avenger who's formerly worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. as a highly trained spy. Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton / Hawkeye, an Avenger and Master Archer who previously worked for an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. Don Cheadle as James Rhodey Rhodes, or War Machine, an officer in the US Air Force and Tony Stark's close personal friend who operates the War Machine armor. Aaron Taylor Johnson as Petra Maximoff, the twin brother of Wanda who can move at superhuman speed. Ironically, at the time, Evan Peters played a version of the same character in 2014's X-Men, Days of Future Past. Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, a twin sister of Pietro who can engage in hypnosis and telekinesis. Paul Bettany as Jarvis and later Vision. Paul Bettany, who voiced Jarvis as Stark's AI companion in previous films, was cast again, but this time as Vision, an android created by Ultron. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson / Falcon, a former pararescueman trained by the military in aerial combat using a specially designed Wimpec and a friend of Steve Rogers. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. who originally recruited the Avengers and continues to be the mentor and leader of the team. And James Spader as Ultron, an artificial intelligence repurposed by Tony Stark and Bruce Banner for a pilot peace program that is overwhelmed with the God complex and now desires to pacify the Earth by eradicating humanity. Director Joss Whedon stated that Spader was his first and only choice for the role because of his hypnotic voice that can be eerily calm and compelling, while also being very human and humorous. Feige clarified that Spader's face and body were motion captured to create a whole performance. We did not just hire Spader to do a robot voice. We wanted him to act the full role. Spader called the character self-absorbed and added, I think he sees the Avengers as being a part of the problem, a more comprehensive problem in the world. He sees the world from a very strange biblical point of view because he's brand new, he's very young, he's immature, and yet he has knowledge of comprehension, broad history and precedent, and he's created it in a very short period of time and rather skewed worldview. Spader elaborated, he truly is an artificial intelligence with absolutely no censorship at all, no parameters really. He's got too much power, too much strength and speed and size, and he's a very dangerous child. Now what can I say about the second film of the Avengers assembling? Now, as you would expect from any of these Marvel Cinematic Universe films, it's exuberant and eye-popping, and Avengers Age of Ultron serves an overstuffed but mostly satisfying sequel, reuniting its predecessor's unwieldy cast with a few new additions, and of course, also most importantly, a worthy antagonist. For me, a lot of these superhero movies are really based on who the worthy opponent is for the superheroes to go up against. And here we have a fantastic layered performance by a phenomenal actor in James Spader playing Ultron. And for me, in many ways, the film lives and breathes on his performance. Albeit that, of course, he's fundamentally playing a robot and you never actually see James Spader's face. It really is his voice acting for me in this film that really takes precedence, because James Spader just has a way, as Whedon described it, of being hypnotic and convincing and charming, but in the same breath eerily haunting. For me, though, this film took Marvel to a new level, as it really is just jam-packed with action sequences and huge battle scenes and a massive ensemble cast. This film starts at 11 and really never slows down. Now, the film every now and again does take a few wrong turns, creating a bit of a jumble and a mess, but when the action gets too thick, Whedon does recover it like a pro, devising a spectacle that's epic in every sense of the word. The one thing the MCU does have, though, is some fantastic layered characters that have been given time to develop over time. So even though these stories can be a bit, like I said, jumbled and messy and loud and smack you in the face, it's the characters that always bring you back down to earth. One thing, though, I found that Whedon didn't do right in his two Avengers films was he never really sort of found the emotional side of these fantastic characters. Yes, the actors portraying these different roles knew their characters very well, but I found Whedon was more focused on the big, expansive action sequences than actual character layered development, something that the Russo brothers did so much better, especially like, for example, in Captain America Civil War and the later two Avenger films. For me, this film was an ideal vehicle for the age of what we're living in at the moment, which is immediate sensation and instant gratification, and it disappears without a trace as almost soon as it's consumed. It's not one of those films within the MCU that you're going to say, oh, that really stood out to me. And it does feel a bit more like an obligation, a box to be checked on a list before all the parties move on to the next phase of the MCU universe. The introduction here now of Quicksilver and Wanda Maximoff was a good addition, and both actors in Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen play their characters very well and just add an emotional depth to the show. I found this version of Quicksilver, for example, much better than X-Men Days of Futures Past, version there played by Evan Peters. Because at the end of the day, Aaron Taylor-Johnson is a superb actor, and he really does sort of delve into this character's arc, as it were, and of course the way he dies in the end is very touching and a poignant moment. And obviously for me personally, seeing some of the scenes shot in downtown Johannesburg was quite fun. Look, overall it's exactly what you'd expect from a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It's big, it's loud, it's bold, with some fantastic CGI sequences, and it really doesn't hold back in terms of its massive budget. Obviously the characters are all so well written, and the actors play these characters perfectly, as they know them so well. Also, the addition now of James Spader as Ultron really does add a lend of credence to this film, as he does play a fantastic antagonist. Will it go down as one of the best in the MCU? Most certainly not. Will it go down as one of the best in the Avengers? I don't think so. But still, in saying all of this, Avengers Age of Ultron is an entertaining movie that moves the story along as we get to the next phase of the MCU. Avengers Age of Ultron gets an 8 out of 10.